Monday morning had started like any other. My alarm clock blared its obnoxious tune at 6:30 a.m., jolting me awake. I groaned and slapped the snooze button, but there was no escaping the inevitable grind of the work week. I reluctantly dragged myself out of bed, still half asleep, and went through the motions of my morning routine. As I stood in front of the mirror, brushing my teeth, I noticed something odd. A faint reflection in the bathroom mirror, like a shadow passing by. I turned around, but there was nothing there. Must have been my groggy mind playing tricks on me, I thought. The clock on the wall reminded me that I was running late, and I hastily dressed in my work attire, grabbed a granola bar for breakfast, and headed out the door. The sun had yet to rise, and the world outside was cast in an eerie twilight. The air was thick with a sense of foreboding that I couldn't quite put my finger on. I walked towards the subway station, my footsteps echoing in the empty streets. The city that was usually bustling with life was strangely quiet, as if it had been drained of all vitality. I quickened my pace, eager to reach the subway and escape the unsettling stillness of the morning. As I descended into the underground station, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. I glanced over my shoulder, but there was no one there. The platform was empty, save for a homeless man huddled in a corner. He mumbled to himself, his words unintelligible, and I tried to put him out of my mind. The train arrived with a screech of brakes, and I boarded, grateful for the distraction. But as the train pulled away from the station, I noticed something odd through the window. The homeless man from the platform was standing on the platform's edge, staring directly at me with hollow, soulless ease. It sent a shiver down my spine, and I quickly turned away, hoping it was just a coincidence. The train ride was uneventful, and I managed to lose myself in my thoughts, trying to shake off the unease that had settled over me. I had almost convinced myself that I had imagined the homeless man's unsettling gaze when I arrived at my stop. I stepped out onto the platform and joined the crowd of commuters making their way towards the exit. But as I walked up the stairs and emerged into the daylight, a sense of dread washed over me. The city was still eerily quiet, and there was no one in sight except for a lone figure standing at the top of the stairs. My heart pounded in my chest as I recognized the homeless man. How had he gotten here so quickly? His eyes were still locked onto mine, and he began to descend the stairs towards me. Panic welled up inside me, and I turned and ran, not daring to look back. I sprinted through the empty streets, my footsteps echoing in the silence. It felt like I was running for my life, though I couldn't explain why. I had to get to work. I had to get away from that man. But no matter how fast I ran, it seemed like he was always just behind me, his cold, lifeless eyes fixed on me. I turned a corner and found myself in an alley, a dead end. Desperation clawed at me as I looked around for a way out. There was a door at the end of the alley, and without thinking, I pulled it open and stumbled inside. The room I entered was dimly lit, with flickering candles casting eerie shadows on the walls. It looked like an abandoned chapel, with rows of pews leading up to an altar. At the center of the room stood a statue of a grotesque horned figure, its eyes glowing with an otherworldly light. I felt a presence behind me, and turned to find the homeless man standing in the doorway. He grinned, revealing rows of sharp, yellowed teeth. "Welcome," he hissed. I was trapped, with no way out. I watched in horror as he approached, his footsteps echoing in the eerie silence of the chapel. He reached out a bony hand, and I could feel the room growing colder with each step he took. Suddenly, the candles on the altar went out, plunging the room into darkness. I could hear his raspy breathing, inches from my face. I closed my eyes and braced for whatever was to come. But then, a blinding light pierced the darkness, and I heard a voice, clear and commanding, chanting words I couldn't understand. The homeless man let out a shriek of pain, and when I dared to open my eyes, he was gone, vanished into thin air. I was alone in the chapel, the candles on the altar relit as if by magic. I stumbled out of the room and back into the alley, which was now empty and quiet. The city had returned to normal, the hustle and bustle of the morning rush restored. I made my way to work, my mind reeling from the horrors I had witnessed. I couldn't explain what had happened, but I knew one thing for sure. I would never look at a Monday morning commute the same way again.